Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Jess Marshall podcast. I'm Jess Marshall, and this week I'm very excited to have on Hope Harrison, local artist, all the way from Miami, but she's lived here in Dallas for about 20 years. Hope is awesome, super high energy. I'm looking forward to a great podcast. I think we're going to get into some of what motivates her, some of what keeps her going, get into her creative process, and I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. That's awesome. What do you think has changed most about you since you became a mother?
Oh, wow.
I know that is life-changing. I haven't had the privilege of having any kids yet, but I have 6 nephews, so
Gabriel came along when I was 38 years old, and he was a surprise, and I'll say this for starters. One thing that I'm grateful for is that in my 20s and 30s, I always thought I would get married young, have a couple kids like my parents, be a stay-at-home mom. And into my early 30s, when that had not happened yet, I was in a great career in the mortgage industry, making great money. And I really, really pursued my passions. I've played the piano and the harp growing up, and was able to really dive in to those interests, and not the harp anymore, the piano. And so I had really already come a long way in discovering more of who Hope is when I became a mom. But I think the way that ultimately when he came along, honestly, probably my fight just to make more of my life is really what changed. I mean, I was happy. I was more than getting by. But honestly, I never realized that I would fight for something so hard.
Yeah. Does maybe life become more about fulfilling your calling than just about surviving or even thriving once you bring another life into the world?
Absolutely. Partly because I want him to see the value in a life of purpose, outside of ourselves, and I had no intention of becoming an artist, and it's a supernatural thing. Honestly, I had never had any experience at all in art, but it being becoming a mother and discovering a new gift and talent that actually was super fulfilling, and I could share on a significant level with the world. It just made me want to dive in all that much harder.
Yeah, I bet. How do you discover that you have artistic? I mean, obviously, if you were into music, then you knew you had some.
I have a creative background.
Yeah, for sure. Did you just kick over a bucket of paint in the garage on accident one time, and you were like, that would look cool on a canvas? How'd that go down?
So when Gabriel was 2, Gabriel came along. Again, I had my mortgage career, and then everything really tanked after the crash in 2008.
Yep.
I hung in until 2009, and then my income took a 90% hit overnight. And so at that point, I bailed. I got out of the mortgage industry, and Gabriel came along in 2010. Wasn't quite sure which direction I was going to take. I've been a photographer. I've had a camera in my hand forever. So around that time, I started a photography business. But when Gabriel came along, and I was just getting by off of kind of savings and kind of getting that business moving. And so when he came along, it was a very difficult, challenging situation with his father, and I did my best to make it work, but it didn't work. I was with his father till Gabriel was about 10 months old. And so when I left that situation, separated myself from that situation, I decided to not have Gabriel in daycare. I hadn't put him in daycare yet. And I decided to spend my savings to be home with him and just pour into him. So when he was 2, we were so blessed to have a tremendous amount of time together. So when he was 2, we just did a little project one day. I decided to do one with him, a little arts and crafts deal.
Okay.
And he's part Native American Indian, and I decided that I wanted to do one of those pieces of art that are words and phrases in different fonts.
Cool.
That you get at Hobby Lobby, right?
Right.
So Gabriel was going to do his little project. I was going to do mine, and I got the canvas, got the brushes and the paint. I get home, and I was going to paint every word that came to mind, honoring his heritage. And I have this big, beautiful 5 foot by 8 foot Indian warrior in my living room. And I was just going to, everything I think of when I see that piece, just going to paint it, right? So painted the canvas black, and then realized there's no way I was going to be able to hand paint different fonts. And I didn't want to go back to the Hobby Lobby and grab the stencil. So I just dipped one brush in gold and one brush in red and painted the first word that came to mind, which was brave, in a big script. And then I painted the first Bible verse I ever taught Gabriel, which was Joshua 1:9. And it looked like a kindergartner could have done it, but it sparked something in me. And it was just fun. And so I literally watched one YouTube video on how to start an abstract piece.
YouTube.
Yeah. One YouTube video on how to start an abstract piece, and started just experimenting from there. And within a year, I got commissioned to do a piece for a friend. I was like, I have no idea what I'm even doing, but I went for it. So basically, within and then a couple months after that, I got commissioned 2 jobs, and one for $450, another one for $600. And I was like, geez, I might be onto something here, right? And but I had no idea. I was just playing. I was just having fun. And one thing that I have learned is that when people that you trust and respect tell you that you have talent, you should believe them.
For sure.
And at the 2-year mark, I had a girlfriend that was I had a friend that owned a gallery in Dallas, and she said, you need to bring your work down to show Joseph Shortell Design. You need to show him your work. I was like, okay, I mean, I'll go meet him, but this is kind of crazy, but I'll go shake the guy's hand, right? And so I just showed him pictures on my phone. He said, yeah, I love your work. Why don't you bring some pieces down? So I get home, and I just sat down and thought to myself, okay, this is crazy, but if I'm actually going to go for this, I have to figure out who I am as an artist. Because at that time, I was all over the place. I was playing with squeegees, playing with brushes, playing with, whatever, just experimenting, And I had no idea who I was as an artist. And I was smart enough to know at the time that if he brings me on, I'm also going to have to be confident in consistency. Because if a client walks in and they see, a red piece and they love it, but they want it in, blue and turquoise, I have to be able to perform,
Yeah.
So I continued to just focus on my son and experiment through the next year. And I fell in love with the fluid process. I love to make a mess. I love to be creative. And the two combined were just perfect for me. So I called him a year later. I said, hey, this is Hope Harrison. And he remembered me right away. I said, I'm at a better place now to try to pursue this. And he said, bring your pieces down. He took me on right away. And everything is just absolutely catapulted from there. And that was 6 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool.
It
So
is.
when you were like, when you were a little kid, you weren't like, I'm going to grow up and be an artist.
Never.
Or did you ever draw or sketch
No.
or paint?
No.
Or no,
No
just
art background.
music.
Zero.
and-
Music and photography starting in high school.
Any like performing arts or anything like that? Did you act in plays or anything like that growing up?
No.
Not really.
Not really, no.
Music.
Music, I'm self-taught in pretty much everything that I do. I'm kind of stubborn, honestly.
Yeah, I was
when
gonna
it
say
comes-
you don't seem like the type of person who would go apprentice for somebody for a long amount of time.
No, and I'm not a good student, and I kind of get stuck in the mindset of why am I sitting here having to learn this? I know I'm never going to use this. I mean, I just have I have a little bit of stubborn bone in my body, so it you know.
Hey, that sounds really fucking familiar.
Well, you know.
Me too. Do you have a mentor now, or have you ever had a mentor at any stage in your life, even like in your former career?
Well, when I was in the mortgage career, I had a boss and we had corporate training.
Yeah.
But photography, not really. I mean, I lean on one particular photographer helping kind of guide me in Photoshop and things like that. Outside of that, it's just experimenting, honestly.
Yeah. The self-taught thing, all the lessons in my life that I've learned the best were lessons that I had to learn the hard way.
Sure, yeah.
Is that something that when you are self-taught, when you're trying to make your own way, whether you're building a business or starting a new career, whatever it is, a lot of mistakes, man. A lot of falling down and picking yourself up off the mat.
All the time.
Has that kind of shaped your journey?
Absolutely. I have had to, number one, embrace taking risk. I mean, even with my music, I'm very passionate about my passions. And from a young age, I would I have a little tag name that people call me the Ivory Phantom, because I'll go sneak up on a keyboard anywhere. Nick and Sam's, I got a standing ovation at Nick
Really?
and Sam's. Yeah,
That's so awesome.
The pianist got up to take, he's up there playing his show tunes and nobody's paying hardly any attention to him. I mean, no offense to the guy, but he's talented in a different way than I am. I don't read music, so but he got up to take a break and I snuck up there.
That is so legit.
gotta say it.
Talk about taking a risk.
I know, but see, so
Yeah.
this helped build, the foundation for where I am now. This is absolutely number one, my process in and of itself. I only have so much control. I have a lot of control, a lot more control than people would think, because I've worked on it for years, and I literally learn something every time I paint. And I will say this: when I dove in, I knew that I was gonna, along with not only be confident in being consistent, but I was going to have to set myself apart. I mean, there's thousands of fluid artists out there. I really didn't see too much of the fluid. I mean, YouTube. I didn't study YouTube, go to YouTube every day and study other people's work. I just started playing, And but I knew that in going for this, I was going to have to set myself apart somehow. I mean, an artist, 1% of artists make it.
Yeah.
One, if that,
Right.
And so I did that, and I still continue to on this mindset with it, if you will, or process, which is I do it in scale because my pieces are so large, and the amount of product that I use. I mean, my pieces are expensive, and they're extremely, extremely labor intensive. I mean, I'm sore for days after I do them. A lot of them, the big triptychs and multiple panel pieces. I mean, it's excruciatingly labor intensive, but it's an emotional process. It's a spiritual process. I pray, I cry. The praise and worship music is going, and because this whole thing has been supernatural. I mean, this was not in my plan at all. I mean, honestly, I had no intention of ever becoming an artist. I mean, I think I've held on to the thought for quite a while. Kind of over it now, but that some gentleman's gonna come along and rescue me and make things easier, lighten the load. Have a partner.
A knight in Tinder armor,
right?
Or something.
But I'm in some ways I'm grateful that it hasn't happened, because I had no idea that really what I had within me, honestly, to make something like this art career happen and pursue a life of purpose that I really believe is it touches people. It touches people, and I love it. I literally have to overcome fear and doubt on a daily basis, like every single day. I get the spiritual attacks, how you're crazy for thinking you can do this. Yeah, you've made it this far, but good luck taking it to the next level. My faith has absolutely carried me. I mean, there's no way I could have done it without it. I'll tell you this. So through growing my business, initially I had probably 10 or 15 pieces in inventory because I knew I had to have something to sell,
Sure.
and I had no idea commission work was going to be as big for me as it has. So for the first 2 years, I sold what I had in inventory and balanced, had a couple commission jobs. But this second year, I was commissioned a $20,000 job for 6 10-foot pieces, which both I couldn't hardly wrap my brain around either. But I shook the guy's hand in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. You got a deal. Yeah. Closed. Yeah.
I've had people tell me since, you might want to work that just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was, I needed the money, and I was like, I'm going for it.
Yeah,
now
let's
that
go.
job almost killed me.
Did it?
Oh my gosh, it was just excruciatingly stressful, and he was very, 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 very particular. He's a construction, a general contractor in Dallas, and very particular. And it was a big deal. That was the one job I did in an airplane hangar, and with my process with multiple panels, multiple pieces, together, they have to be done at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they have to flow. So I had 6 10-foot pieces.
All butted up to each other?
Yeah, I had 4 in a row and then 2 just around the corner because I only had so much room. And 90 gallons of product.
Gosh, dang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $3,000 in product, and I didn't have the money to if I made the mistake to replenish it. So it was super stressful that way,
Sure.
But and then physically, I remember setup. It's very interesting. There's a lot of parallels in life with this stuff, but the foundation, the setup and the prep take longer than the art itself, and it's very, very time consuming. But that night, because I was in someone else's airplane hangar, I was having to really protect the floor, extra covering. So I wasn't even able to start until 3:30 in the morning. And I got through one piece. When I line out my paint, it's all very technically lined out. My pieces organically create their own texture, which is one thing that's unique to my work. So figuring out the lineup, the prep, figuring out the lineup on 10 pieces, 90 gallons, opening 90 gallons of product, stirring 90 gallons of product. So 3:30 in the morning, I'm already pretty spent.
What's the process trying to maintain the continuity across 10 panels? So you're opening your product and just lining up the color, the same quantity of each color
piece.
next to each
they all
panel.
On a multiple panel piece, it's all the same lineup. Yes.
Do you have days where like you're pouring heavier than other days? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of why you want to do everything together to try as much as you can to compress that compatibility. So you're, I know you're always improving your method,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've watched a couple of your videos, and I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how you make these look the way you make them look.
So, well, I'm always pushing the limits on product, yes, but I have learned that there's such a thing as too much product
Sure.
on a piece because, my pieces they transition fairly significantly for 2 to 3 days. About the third, but I don't want to wake up to a different piece of art, which I have. So, that's too much product.
Because of how it's curing and drying?
No, because of the balance. I mean, I'm the, it's there, just the balance in the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did a piece recently that's blues and turquoise and silvers, but the client wanted a little bit of red in it. And I woke up to the red off balance. So, that was a $800 mistake.
You had to start all over?
Yeah. Well, I tried to fix it, but it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. There we go, learning from the mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to embrace those. I mean, and the way I had to look at it was, I'm glad it was on a, $6,500 job, not a $20,000 job,
For sure.
And so I try to embrace those bumps in the road,
You said that almost on a daily basis you're fighting fear and doubt, and
absolutely, yes.
your faith helps you a lot with that. But you're not afraid. You might be afraid to fail, but you're still getting out there and getting after it.
I'm not afraid to fail, no.
Yeah?
I'm not afraid to fail. No way. I wouldn't be doing this.
What fears do you have? I mean, I'm sure that, like you said, you've had people coming after you, with negativity and stuff like that. Have you had haters? Have you had, people critical of your work? That
not necessarily critical of my work, critical of me as a single mom taking this risk.
Why?
Right.
Because you should be working at Kohl's.
I should
running
go
a
back
cash
and I was
register?
successful in the mortgage industry. You should go put your kid in daycare, go get back into the mortgage industry, get that stability back.
Ryan knows a bunch of people in real estate and stuff. He could probably hook you up with that mortgage
Hey,
job.
I got plenty of hookups. I don't need any more there. So,
yeah, and you're probably thinking, I wouldn't ask in your permission.
no, but I get it, because I'm a single mom and very little support on the other. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Very little support with my son, and so I think it was more just a protective thing. Honestly, people. It wasn't ugly. It was just like, Hope, go get back into the mortgage. You're overthinking your kid. You're good. He's good. Go put him in daycare. Get back in the mortgage industry. Rock it, and then play with art later. But I just couldn't do it. There had been too many things. I've come way too far in such a short amount of time. I mean, my first year I did almost $30,000 in original art. I mean, my first year, like nobody knew who I was as an artist. I remember changing my profile to artist, thinking, "Oh my God, what are people gonna think?" but like artists, what in the world?
Yeah,
right.
right.
And I overthink what people think. I've really been working on that. I don't know if you saw my recent post on releasing myself of the bondage, of worrying about what people think. Think of me. It's a big deal because it's paralyzing. And this journey. I've had some compiling pretty significant stress factors in my life. My situation with my son's father still remains to be very, very, very challenging. And I've come a long way with it, but it's hard, And so balancing protecting my child as his mother and what I believe I have to absorb for him has been a whole other aspect of my life that has made it really, really hard, But, and honestly, in 2019, so my business is growing, right? At a great pace. I needed more, but I don't know that I could have handled more. I mean, this whole way, it's been really perfect timing, but So my business is growing, and my savings is dwindling. My savings lasted, let's see, 7 years. So I significantly stretched it out. But as my savings started to dwindle, I started to develop this internal habit of literally begging and pleading, God, please help me. Please help me. I believed in my heart I was doing what he wanted me to be doing. But I mean, the stress of every day, even though I had the savings, I tried not to rely on it and literally pretended that it wasn't there until the last minute, until I absolutely had to tap into it. So when the savings eventually ran out, I still believed in my heart I was doing the right thing, but I didn't have reserve, I had no security cushion at all financially, but I've continued to press forward. And I remember very specifically the month after my savings totally ran out, I was at the Kroger cash register spending $60, you do in the blink of an eye, and I had rent coming in 2 days due, and I was like, started begging, like, God, dear God, please help me. And like a lightning bolt, he just strikes me and says, you don't need to beg me, you just need to thank me. And I'm probably said this audibly. It just shocked my whole system, and I just said, thank you, God. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for what you're going to do. And 2 days later, I got a $2,400 check in the mail that I wasn't expecting from a commission, from a rug sale. And day after that, I got $1,000. My dad shows up at my house. I'm a very open person, so I'm gonna put this out there. But my dad shows up with a piece of mail. It was a $1,000 check, and he says, "I don't know if this is legit or not, but you might want to check it out." Well, when everything crashed, and I owned 3 homes at the time when everything crashed in '08, and my income took a 90% hit overnight, and never came back. And so for a year or two, and then my son came along, I did my best to just balance everything. Well, about a year later, I had someone that came to me, just knew my challenge and the balance. I was my struggle with the balance, and she just said, "Look, you're fighting the wrong battles. I think because I had started to rely on credit cards. I didn't want to touch my 401k. I didn't want to touch. I was just doing everything cash on hand, and I thought, I'm going to have that forever. I'm going to wait. I'm just not going to touch that until I retire. Well, so I ended up filing bankruptcy, and so I took the advice, and you're fighting the wrong battles. You have a son to focus on, and I was super credit conscientious, being in the mortgage business for 13 years.
Right.
And so I just said, you know what? I guess she's right. And so that's what I did. So 7 years later, I get this $1,000 check. That's a refund for filing bankruptcy. I was like, is that even legal?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was like, I don't know, but I'm cash.
Cash that thing. Take it straight to Chase or
right.
Bank of America or whatever.
So, so anyways, it's just an interesting. So here we go. After just changing my mind and my heart from begging and pleading to thanking God, here's what $3,200.
That's awesome.
Or $3,400 pops up in the mail.
Don't you think it's interesting too? I told you before we went live that my parents are in the ministry, right? Having faith takes, you got to be brave to have faith, right? Like a lot of times I wonder when I'm saying to God, man, please help me. And he says, just thank me. Like it's already done.
Yes.
Because I have a hard time with that pie in the sky prosperity doctrine, that some big televangelists are big on. But it is done. If you just believe and you just stay the course, good things end up happening.
Well, that's part of honoring him. I mean, it's also being obedient because this is what he wants us to do and calls us to do, to solely trust and believe and believe it before you see it, And that step in faith, he honors it. He absolutely honors it. I mean, after that, those the rug commission, the $1,000 check. Then I had the best 2 months of the year, ending of the year.
Awesome.
And it's it's not magic. I mean, it's the God of the universe, but he does honor your faithfulness. And so and then 2020 rolled around, right? And
Hey.
I had my moment of, oh dear God, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, right.
Nobody's going to be buying art. Well, it was so far my busiest year yet. It's the only time in my career really that I can say that I've had multiple jobs backed up consistently, and which has brought on a whole new load of stress of managing it, right? And I still work out of my studio garage and fairly limited space. I make it work, and but this is why I know wholeheartedly that I wouldn't have wanted it to happen any faster because I'm still present for my son.
Sure.
I'm still there for him 99% of the time when he gets out of school at 3:00.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh
What put that burning desire in you to be home with him so much?
Well, I was raised by a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And number one, again, it was just my heart as a mother. I know 0 through 7 are the most influential years, and I didn't want to hand that over to anybody else, especially somebody I hardly knew at a daycare.
Yeah. No doubt.
But and that's when I was uncomfortable at first, dipping into my savings, because again, this is for retirement. Don't ever touch your retirement. Well, God just told me, you're investing in a human being, one that I blessed you with, and you'll make more money.
Yeah.
So that's when, and honestly, the challenges that I have with his father, another aspect of it was that I wanted to make sure that I poured everything into just our bond as well.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Another reason I did it.
You're from Florida. How long have you been here in Texas?
Since 97.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
97.
What brought you here?
So, followed my brother from Baylor. I was at the time living in Gainesville. Miami's my home, but at the time I was living in Gainesville, and I've been really consistent in having a bad picker when it comes to relationships.
Dudes. Yeah.
And so at that time, I was in one that I really just did the back and forth, break up, get back together, break up, get back together, and it was just not a great situation. And so my brother said, "Look, just the job market out here is great." I had been in processing in the mortgage industry at the time. The job market out here is great. Just get your butt out here and start over. So I drove my little 280Z that my grandfather had given me, my dog, and my coffee maker, and started over and got a job right away. And so it was a fantastic move for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I love Texas. I miss the water, the ocean, but we get out on the lakes here and it's fun. But there's no comparison to
Texas is getting a big spotlight shined on it right now because so many people are moving here. But those of us who have been here I got to Texas in 95 or 96. So I've been here for a long time too. But there's something different about Texas. Florida's similar, but Texas has this very it's got everything here is about a can-do attitude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ask forgiveness, not permission.
Sure.
Right? And there's more guns and tigers in Texas than anywhere else on the face of the planet. Well, according to Joe Rogan. So
I love it.
That's crazy.
Just my style.
Yeah, no doubt. You talked a little bit about being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and that's a challenge. I think it is for all entrepreneurs. Has it been? Have you? You're obviously honing your craft as an artist, but have you really made strides as an entrepreneur as well, just in terms of there's so much that goes into running your own thing. You know, when you show up and originate a bunch of mortgages and get a big paycheck, you can go home. You can turn your phone off.
Yes.
When you're an entrepreneur, man, it's especially you're providing a service. You got to be responsive all the time. You got to follow up with clients. That client care piece is a big part of you growing your business. What's your growth as an entrepreneur been like?
So, number one, my great grandfather was the ultimate entrepreneur. He started our family construction business. Like in the 20s maybe.
Really?
And did very well, but when the Depression hit and everything came to a screeching halt, he started to build boats for the military. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's largest hen house.
Really?
Yeah. So I feel like, number one, it's in my blood, you know,
Sure.
and I've just always respected what he did and his push and his fight and his commitment to keep going, you know. So as far as my business, I love. Well, number one, I give credit where credit's due. I had an architect tell me one day, your art would make amazing custom rugs. So it just stuck in the back of my mind. At the time, I was just focusing on my art, and I went to MetroCon, one year design expo, saw Interior Resources, their booth, and I said, hey, by the way, I'm a local artist. Thinking about exploring custom rugs. Would you like to collab? And, you know, consider meeting, and off we went. So that took off. So with that, I've just kind of always, I honestly can't remember if my other products were in my mind at the time or not. But I can tell you this much, that as labor intensive, every project of mine, each piece of art is a major production. I mean, my bases are custom built. Just resetting and prepping alone is a production. For myself, the time it takes to figure out the quantities of each color. First of all, the palette, quantities of each, enough but not too much, or I'm overspending, you know. So through the last couple of years especially, I've just been like, I've got to find an easier route for the mail. You know, I need the mailbox money to be coming in, to be rolling in. I've done the hard work on the front end, and designing the products, the product ideas, and then pretty much every product that I've explored, handbags, glass trays, men's ties, things like that, they've all sold. But I'm one person, I can only do so much. And so, but I am, people are recognizing me as a brand now. And one of the beautiful things about my work, my art, is that it translates on almost any platform, right? And so one thing that I'm good at is following through with alignments. And I have one now that is, I'm really excited about that. And so my glass trays, pillows, and draperies are going to be at Dallas Market, Design Market,
Awesome.
in June. Yeah. So for the most part, with expanding and growing my brand, honestly, if I had more time, it's just really a time. Well, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not a pillow expert. You know, right now, I'd love to, I'd rather work together with an expert on the product that's already connected and grow that together than sell 30 by myself. You know, does that make sense? You know, and so it's more so. I'm pretty good at. My wheels are always turning, and I mean always. You know, as far as different ideas, different products. I mean, and then it's just a matter of finding a manufacturer, designing it, finding a manufacturer, and producing it, which is time and money. Time and money is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And holding inventory is a big deal. I don't normally do that. If I do, it's very minimal. So I have, I don't know where this whole thing is gonna go, but I mean, number one, I certainly have dreams of. My grandparents traveled for the last 30 years of their lives, and there was a red dot everywhere on they had a world map, and there was a red dot everywhere they had traveled, and it was covered. And I want a red dot all over the world with where my original art is. That's a dream of mine, right? Like, I'm already international. I've art in Spain, and that's just a fun vision. Is that going to change people's lives? No, it'll change mine, but my art brings joy and makes people's environments more beautiful, and that's great. But with that success is what my heart is. I want to give away more than I keep, and I want to keep a lot. And I want the generations that come after me to experience what I've seen the generations since my great grandfather have been able to benefit from, right? But I want it to keep going even past that, but I'm going to inspire, hopefully, my son, for starters, people to pursue their dreams and just stick with the fight. I honestly believe that there's a reason that a spark happens. There's a reason that you have the desire. People tell me all the time, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that, whether it was the piano or certainly the art now. And, nobody's going to, if you feel it, go for it, try it, play, make it fun, don't make it stressful. Just go have some fun and see what happens. I was just having fun, zero intention, and of this ever happening. And let me tell you, I can say in full confidence that 99% would have quit by now. I mean, the stress has been just off the charts, not knowing where the next paycheck is coming from. And, there are times like that, and even saying it now, I just, that's where I need to be stronger in my faith, knowing that God's going to continue to provide, because he has, significantly. But let me tell you, I got to show up. I got to get out of bed. And I'll tell you this part of my journey in 2020. I had in August of 2020, situation with my son's father that just was very, very difficult for me. And I really crashed. I did. Here I go. I knew I was gonna cry.
You're good.
But I've fought so hard for my son, and I'll never stop fighting for him. But I have fought so hard for my son, and now this career. And in the beginning of 2020, I just hit the wall. Emotionally and physically hit the wall. And I had 2 commission jobs come in that were $15,000 in commission work. I had every reason to move, and I couldn't move. I got my son to school with a smile on my face. I got him to football with a smile on my face. And I slept. I slept for 3/4 of the day. And about 2 weeks in, I had done a project for Blake York, Equalist Modern Medicine, and earlier in the year, and he just reached out. He's like, "Hey, you've been on my mind. You doing okay?" And I said, "Honestly, I'm really struggling. I'm having a really hard time. I have every reason to move. These huge projects sitting here, and I can't move. Like, I cannot get it together." And he said, "Well, what are you doing to take care of yourself?" And I just froze. I just said, well, I get a pedicure about once a month. And he said, Hope, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else, and you need to let me do a full panel on you. And I would not have had the money prior to that month. And so I said, you know what, let's do it. You're right. Let's get everything checked out. So sure enough, I had completely crashed my adrenal system. He called me and he said, Hope, you literally have nothing left to fight with internally. This is the precursor to cancer, heart disease. You cannot take anything else. And the good thing is that there was a reason, right, that I was feeling that way. Mm-hmm. And I have to say I'm pretty proud of myself because I have no idea how long had been in that position. I mean, there were several times through the previous years that I said I feel like I'm about to have a nervous breakdown, because I didn't know what that felt like, but I was feeling it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Blake, I took a holistic approach. I didn't want to do anything overnight fix, and took a holistic approach, and I'm 100% better. Just kudos to Blake and his unbelievable comprehensive program and treatment. It's been great. The project that I had waiting at that time to do was 3 4x8s, huge, and there's no way I could have done it if Blake hadn't reached out. There's no way I could have done it if Blake hadn't reached out.
Well, that's probably a God thing, right?
Oh, geez, but watch this. So 15,000, and then I sleep 3/4 of the month. I had like 3 pieces in inventory. I don't normally have a lot of inventory. I got a call the 3rd weekend of that month. A guy named Sebastian calls me and he says, he was in my phone. I didn't even know who he was. He says, hey, it's Sebastian. We used to hang out 20 years ago. He goes, I want to buy Seraphim. I was like, well, that's a $9,000 piece. Is that anywhere close to what you're thinking? He's like, yeah. I saw your pieces for 5 and 7. I'm sure we can come up with something that will work, for both of us. It's huge, 10-foot piece, huge. He wires me $8,000 the next morning.
Jeez.
And he bought one of the other pieces that was in inventory. So this is all God. I'm throwing numbers out there because it's just significant, you know
bet.
what. So I slept 3/4 of the month basically, and had a $30,000 month. God provided a $30,000 month, and because I remember when I was laying there, I was just praying, God, please fight for me, right? And he did. He absolutely did.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, big time, and
yeah.
And with all of those big jobs, comes the pressure to perform, comes the risk, comes the cost, comes the time management struggle, which is very difficult for me. I'm a free spirit. I'm an artist. I often say I throw paint. There's a reason I throw paint for a living. That's how my brain works. I am not linear. I am not structured. These are things that I need.
Yeah.
One of the things that that I've absolutely come to embrace, and I'm okay with talking about them, are my weaknesses. That's a big deal. If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you're gonna be a business owner, especially creating a product. I've often said I'm not, buying art, marketing it up, and selling it. I'm, creating it at a significant level. But I know my strengths and my weaknesses, even though I haven't been able to hire full-time staff and, full-time assistant. I do get help where I can, when I can. Thank God I have a carpenter now taking on the load of building the bases, and so that's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, I bet.
But I actually enjoyed that process. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, carpentry is awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
What do you do? What do you do now to try to achieve balance? To try to take care of yourself, things that are not work and that are not, personal dealing with your son's father, stuff like that. What do you do to maintain balance?
So I have horses.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. I've had them for about 15 years, and setting a boundary in my life just to go spend time with them, because they are truly magical creatures, and they are therapy in and of themselves. So more time with them, trying to get back into more of a exercise routine, even just small windows. I feel 1,000 times better when I just push my body just a little bit. I mean, the art itself is a workout, but twice a month is not. I mean, it's the recovery's like really tough. My hamstrings and my back are just on fire for days after. So just being more conscientious of again, just the exercise. And I'm a pretty good eater as it is, and so that's not really, haven't really had to change anything there. I have a crazy story there. I'll tell you real quick. I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic when I was 9 years old, and started on insulin right away. So was my brother. Started on insulin right away, and we never had any issues. We're always healthy, but it was just a pain. It's a pain. And when I left my son's father, it was a really emotional time, a hugely emotional time for me. And I didn't grow up laying hands, in church or anything like that, charismatic. But after that situation and separating myself from that situation, I prayed over my child, and I prayed that specific chains be broken, and one was the diabetes. And 3 years later, I get a call from my brother. He's like, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "I am now." What's up, right? And he says, "Well, I'm here with the new doctor, and he doesn't think we're type 1 diabetics." And I said, "Like, what do you mean? Like, what?" He says, "Well, have you ever heard of MODI?" I hadn't. It's there's an acronym for mature onset of diabetes in the youth. Like, been diabetic for 30 years, never heard of this. Type 1, type 2, that's it. So he said, "Well, we had to get special insurance to do it, to get the test, because it was really expensive." And so got that. And he said if one of us tested positive for MODI, then we all are, all of us, generations that went before us, that are going to come after us, if by chance they get it. So sure enough, we tested positive for this, right? And crazy life change, incredible life change. I've never talked about this with publicly at all, but taken off insulin right away.
Wow.
And when I started, I remember leaving the house without my insulin and my blood tester, feeling like I left the house without my left arm, I mean, I was one that was not shy about it. Like, kids from elementary school now, they'll connect on Facebook. "Hey, didn't you have something? Wasn't there something?" Well, people are ignorant. "Wasn't there something wrong with you?"
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there's but
wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're the foolish ones. But anyways, so sure enough, so MODI is there's 6 genetic strands, and it's like type 2, but it's not type 2. That's really the best way I know how to describe it. And so I was sitting in church, so it was crazy life change. And probably a year later, I was sitting in church, and I just thought, and I just prayed, and I said, "God, why did you only take it that far?" Because I prayed, like, why would you not take it fully away? Like, why didn't you fully just heal us of it, right? And he says to me, "Why would I take away the thing that made you stronger? And why would I take away the thing that made you more compassionate to other people? You just need to trust me." And so the life change for my brother and I has been significant, but the real miracle in it is that this affects our generations to come forever. There's a 50% chance that our kids and their kids will be diagnosed, but it's 100% that it's this. And let me tell you, taking a pill every day for a 10-year-old as opposed to injections 2 or 3 times a day, testing 4 to 6 times a day, is a there's no comparison.
No doubt.
So, it's an amazing part of my story and amazing testimony to prayer.
Absolutely.
It really is. And all credit and glory goes to God through everything I do. Let me tell you.
No doubt. You've been through a lot. I mean, what's your attitude around adversity? I ask most of the people who come on here about that, right? Because I mean, it's I think for the most part, people do fall into two camps there. Some people run and hide from it and try to avoid it, and some people are like, you know what, fucking bring it on. Let's do this thing.
Well, I might have my moment of initial kind of knee-jerk reaction as far as like maybe whatever the situation may be. I can be emotional at times, but let me tell you, I always come to a place of embracing it. And the reason I do is because, again, my faith, because I believe everything happens for a reason, and all things work together for good, for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So, I don't run from it. No.
Yeah.
I don't run from it. I've a lot of the adversity in my life are consequences of my choices. So, you gotta deal with it.
Yeah.
It's nobody else's fault but mine.
Right.
And so I got no one else to blame, and I don't plan on it, but I'm going to grow from it. And, I believe that what we go through and grow through, ultimately, if we choose to take accountability, learn from it, there's going to be someone else along the way that you're going to be able to influence and help, as far as being influential, and I'll say this, inspirational, never in a million years would I've ever thought that I would have lived a life that was inspiring. I always knew that I would love people, be encouraging. I'm a natural cheerleader, love my family, get in the church community and help people. But I've heard countless times how inspirational I am, and I never, ever would have dreamt of that. And I just want to make sure that with that I'm inspiring people big time, at levels that you don't get in, just chit-chatting at girls' dinner,
Right.
And I I'm grateful for what God's chosen for me.
Most definitely.
And I'm grateful that I've had the grit to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, people who are real and who are authentic are people who are inspiring. So that's a testament to you being pretty vulnerable with your struggles and maybe being afraid to share them, but sharing them anyways because they could help somebody.
Sure.
And, fake people don't inspire anybody.
This is true.
Winners inspire people, but a lot of times winners inspire people because they had to lose for a long time before they started winning.
Absolutely.
And or they come from they have some story of extreme adversity. It's Tom Brady not getting drafted, getting ignored, whatever, and now he's the GOAT. Or Jordan getting cut. I think that's actually a myth that he got cut from his varsity team as a freshman, but that's that being real thing is not very common anymore. I think a lot of people are fake real, especially online. Like they'll put out there, today really wasn't feeling it, but I dug down deep and I got after, just real surface level bullshit that we know isn't true. What is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur, about running your own thing? And then I'm going to follow that up with what's your least favorite part?
Oh, well, I mean, I love the fact that it's literally my thing and I can do whatever the hell I want on a daily basis.
No answering to anybody? Yeah.
I mean, now I'm not that stubborn to where I can't, I was fine. I'm fine having a boss, but
Well, you have a bunch of them. They're called your clients.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
I can be, honestly, the best thing for me right now is I can be present for my kid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best. That's the best. I mean, it's hard as hell being an entrepreneur, doing my own thing, figuring out. I mean, the stress of figuring out where the next paycheck is coming from. Good God, it's so excruciating.
It's a fun
painful.
one to grapple with, isn't it? Yeah.
And right now I'm, because my jobs are backed up, I've got a little bit more breathing room there. But also, if my jobs take too long, the deposits stretch out, and it's
Sure.
a tough balance.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a tough balance. But
No doubt.
but again, and one thing I learned when I had my little crash, in 2020 was to listen. I was always because of the diabetes, I was trained to listen to my body if I felt like my sugar was going low, or and conscientious of my body. But thank God, I listened at the time when I needed rest, and that's another thing. I mean, if I need rest, you better believe I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So just that, get my kid to school. If I need to go back to sleep for a little while, I do, and I don't feel bad about it. And because in my work, I'm not a 9-to-5 person.
Right.
And I'm naturally a late nighter anyways, which is hard with a young child. But so just that I just make up my days however I want.
Yeah. What's your least favorite part of being an entrepreneur? Keeping the books?
Yeah, hate it. Hate it. I hate all the internal stuff.
You gotta delegate that shit to a VA or something.
Yeah. Hate it. And I'm not good at it.
Because there's a lot of people who love that.
Yes, you're exactly right.
You could probably find someone to do that for you on like a part-time basis.
Yeah, sure. I just need to make the effort to find them.
Keeping the books is...
Oh, I can't stand it. I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah.
Math makes my head want to explode. But with my music, interestingly enough, I'm a pattern person in my brain. My music is quite technical. My number one bucket list item was to be published. I'm a published musician. From social media has been amazing for me. From social media, connected to, I post myself playing every once in a while, the piano, and aligned through high school buddies to a gentleman that I went to high school with, and he had become a concert guitarist, and he was putting out an album. So we collabed. I wrote the song, and I'm a published pianist now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for you.
It is awesome.
What else is on that bucket list?
I want to scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef.
Skydive?
Scuba.
I know.
Oh, no.
Why not?
No, I don't know. That's
not into it?
I hate heights, and I think it would freak me out.
It's part
Don't
of that.
make me overcome that.
It's part of that overcoming fears thing, man.
Yeah.
Go jump out of a plane.
I am really, really weak when it comes to heights. I don't know where I got that, but
I'm a roofer, and I don't like heights very much. So
it makes my stomach just
go in
all kinds of knots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scuba's cool, though.
I'm a water bug.
Yeah.
I certainly don't believe in reincarnation, but if I did, I would have known that I was a mermaid in the past.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, we are a water family.
There you go.
Yeah.
You talked about like 20 or 30 minutes ago about how you always have ideas going.
Oh,
or
yeah.
do you keep like a tablet where you're writing ideas down or doodling or doing stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
That's like a constant thing. Like, do you ever have to get stuff down on paper just so you can go to sleep? Like, I do that. I have tons of ideas, and I have to write them down so I can pass out.
And so you're not going to lay there thinking about them?
Yeah.
So you know that you're not going to forget them, you write them down? Yeah, I do some of that.
Yeah. What about writing down or setting goals?
So, not going to lie, I really don't.
No, I mean,
yeah,
we've had people on here
don't.
who do the vision boards with
I would
goals
like to do a vision board.
Yeah.
as I get, as the vision grows, and I'm still kind of in shock that this is even happening.
That it's materializing. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who set out and want to be artists from the time they're really, really young, and they can just never get over the hump,
So let me back up for a second. So I will say this: I do a daily devotion in the mornings, and I write in a journal when I do my devotion. Now, so at some level, I mean, I'm writing down what. Not only just what I need to happen, but the whole thanking God before before it comes to fruition has really become a habit for me. I do that all the time. But so there are specific things. They're really more short term goals and needs, and just as I pray and as I write just what comes to my mind and my heart.
Sure.
And it's kind of also more like, God, please give me the strength. To prioritize where I need to eliminate what I need to eliminate, prioritize where I need to prioritize. My days when Gabriel's at school are short. He gets out at 3, and he's used to mommy being there, ready to go. Let's go to the skate park. Let's go water skiing. I mean, he's the only kid at school. Mommy's driving up with the boat. Off we go.
There you go. That's awesome.
It is fun. And
no
so,
doubt.
So my windows are short. So, I have to work on my time management skills for sure. I mean, that's definitely a shortcoming of mine.
Yeah.
It really is. I wish I could survive off of 4 to 6 hours of sleep at night. That probably sounds like a lot to some people. I mean, I just can't. That's not me.
Yeah.
I listen to those inspirational podcasts and videos on YouTube, and they're all like, get up, no sleep, no rest for the weary, burn the candle at both ends. I'm almost 50 years old. I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm okay with that. I mean, I might make it for like a day or two.
Yeah.
I do have all-nighters fairly often with my art because, interestingly enough, the hardest thing to find time to do is create. Mm-hmm. And it's the most important outside of sales. And because I have to have hours, sometimes bare minimum 2 hours, sometimes 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours, 3 to 4. Just depends on the project, and that's hard to find as a single mom because I can't start and stop. Mm-hmm. It's all or nothing. It's all, or you might as well just throw the product away, and
Sure.
So that's the hardest part. So I do pull the all-nighters, but it takes me a little while to recover.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about producing a commissioned piece? Like, for instance, I'm a builder, so normally if I'm doing work for a client, we have plans, just build it to the plans and specs. You don't get to deviate at all. But some of my favorite projects are where they were like, here, this is my budget, make it look awesome. And then I have a little bit of, creative latitude to do what I think, or building my own stuff where I get to design it and then build it, and it's my vision all the way through. When someone commissions, my sister's an artist, so is my grandmother.
Mm-hmm. I remember
When
that.
someone commissions something, is that part of that self-doubt and fear thing? You're like, man, I don't know if they're going to like it. Or,
of course.
Yeah, just because, are they giving you, if I was to commission a piece, I would give you colors and sizes, and I would know.
First of all, I make sure my client knows this is what I do. This is my style. If you want a palm tree in the middle of it, unless we nail it on, it ain't going to happen. I'm not.
I got you. A palm tree just right in the middle. Yeah.
I'm expanding a bit on my product, but that's because I get calls a lot for text and things like that in the piece. That's just some other concepts I'm working on. But I make sure, number one, they understand this is my style. Mm-hmm. You may like this piece. They'll certainly show me pieces of my work that they like, and I make sure that they know that theirs is going to tell their own story. It's going to be the same style, but it's going to never going to replicate ever. And
not your stuff does not all look the same.
It doesn't.
It's very.
It's all fluid, but
yes, it's all the same medium,
yes.
But it doesn't. There are some artists where you're like, oh, that again. Your stuff is not like that.
I appreciate that. I
mean, just your signature.
Yes.
Your autograph that's a work of art. That's the name of my company, Autograph Construction. Look at that autograph.
Yes.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have, how long have you had that? Since you were young? Or did you perfect that?
Quite a while.
That looks...
Quite a while. I've always, interestingly enough, my brother has really pretty.
That looks like it should be
well.
on the fucking Constitution, man.
It should be.
Look at that. It does.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know. I remember when I was in high school working on my cursive. My son has done the same thing. It's interesting, but long time. I just sat down, and then when I decided to, get it. Digitally created a digital file of it, I just took one sheet of paper and signed it about 20 times, and they all look like that, but that one was just perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, that is my natural signature, so I'll be glad to autograph something for you before I leave.
Yeah, right on. I will find you some. I got a pen in my backpack. The whole putting together a show for just like a museum show or something like that, or an art gallery show. That would take you like 6 months to do something like that, wouldn't it?
So you're right. Yes.
So you probably do that at some point once you've gotten.
So I had an art opening when I first started right at the 1 year mark.
You like how I didn't even know it was art gallery? I did, but it was just escaping
I was with
me.
you.
Yeah. An art museum.
You're the second person.
Also known as a gallery.
You know what? You might be prophesying over me because you're the second person in a week to call it a museum.
A museum? Maybe so. Yeah.
But so I did an art opening a year in at the year mark, and I was at Frisco Fine Art while they were still open, and did a couple shows there. That was when I had more inventory at the time. Is the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But interestingly enough, you probably saw my recent post. The timing in this podcast and interview it's really interesting how things work out. So we had to cancel the first one, and in a week ago, I wouldn't have been able to say this. A week ago, Christopher Martin Gallery, one of the most prestigious galleries in Dallas, brought me on. But here's the miraculous part. I had one piece in inventory, literally one. And I brought another piece down just so they could see a little bit of a variety. And they brought me on with one piece. I've talked to galleries along the way, and they're like, well, how many pieces do you have? No, my pieces are huge. They don't need as many.
Yeah.
But at least 2 or 3, right?
Right.
No, they brought me on with one piece. I was like, oh, my goodness gracious.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, well, your price point just went up.
Yeah, no doubt.
So are you okay with that? I'm like, I'm good with that.
For sure.
So in a couple months, and their walls are they're going to have to rearrange a little. So they just asked for a couple more by September.
Yeah, they've got to raise the ceilings for your really tall ones and stuff.
Yeah, they're high enough. They're high enough.
How long have you been using social media
goodness.
your kind of your venue to showcase?
So
yeah.
6 years.
Okay.
And it's been absolutely incredible for me. It's a love-hate. I hate the narcissism and, everybody look at me that it breeds, and, I think, you just have to ignore a lot of stuff, but social media has been amazing for me.
Really?
Absolutely amazing. I really feel like I started to turn a corner towards the end of last year when I got 2 clients from Instagram that have no personal connection. They're not in DFW. One's in Austin and one is in Houston. And I mean, couple emails, couple phone calls, boom, bam, I'm getting deposits on $10,000, $6,000 jobs.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
For sure.
And
I feel like Instagram was created for...
Well, I think it was for art.
What was it?
I believe I've heard that a couple times.
Really?
I think for artists. I think.
I've never drilled down on that.
I believe it was. I mean,
yeah.
just because people.
I'm only on Instagram because Ryan has forced me to be, not because I want to be.
Let me tell you,
Oh yeah. And
I don't have it mastered. I have like 5,000 followers, and
yeah, but your audience is pretty. They bring it. They respond to your stuff all the time.
They do. You're not the first person to say that. I actually had someone recognize me the other day.
Really?
That I'm not connected to from Instagram, and they said, "Are you Hope Harrison, artist. I was like,
Just walking
and I
through
looked
Home
horrible.
Depot or
I'm
something?
like, yes.
Really?
But not the Home Depot that I go into all the time. That's so funny that you said that, because yes, it was. But I had wet hair, no makeup. He was like, are you Hope Harrison, the artist? And I was like, yes. Like, what's up? And yeah, just from the Instagram, however Instagram feeds it, you know.
But 6 years of being consistent with it, right? Isn't consistency pretty important when it comes to building an audience on social?
Absolutely. Consistency, authenticity,
originality,
you know, content that couple things I'll say. I like giving people something to talk about, and I really embrace that lately. You know, I'm kind of famous now for matching my art, right? Before we came, I was like, wait, what blue outfit am I going to wear? Yeah. And, you know, I've had a lot. I started that early on, like nothing fancy, but like just jeans and the top to match the art. When I would see myself standing next to the art and I'm wearing you know, an orange shirt and the piece is you know, blue or whatever, I'm like, oh, that kind of clashes. So I just started early on doing that. And then one of my girlfriends, Cindy Godfrey, in Miami, we used to cheer together in high school. I've probably seen her one time at a reunion. I love to support people. I love. I'll drive across town if you know my name, and you know, the mom pop shops, you know. So anyways, sometime, it must have been last year, I believe, or the year before, I don't remember, but this is hilarious. So I hired her to style me, you know, hey, why don't you style me? I'd love to support you. And so it was last year. So it was just the red number, you might remember, I don't know, but I get the little jumpsuit and I put it on, and I'm pretty conscientious about how I put myself out there as far as, you know, too much skin or whatever. And I put it on. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to put under it?
That's funny.
For the cleavage. And she goes, girl, we ain't going to church. She goes, girl, we ain't going to church. We're trying to get married.
It's funny.
So I said, okay, then I guess I'm going to wear it.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
you know what? I'm not, you know, the truth is that I love the concept of matching my art, number one. Number two, I love the fact that almost everybody that sees me and knows what I do comments on that. Your outfits are amazing with your art. It's so cool, whatever, right? And, you know, I've just embraced giving people something to talk about in a respectful, fun way, right?
Sure.
Am I dressing, you know, a certain way to find a husband? No, I'm not. But that was hilarious. I mean, you know, someday that will be fun, you know, when that chapter ever happens. But man, oh man, I got so much on my plate right now. The good thing is I'm happy, you know, I'm happy single regardless of the struggles, and they're significant, but I'm happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color?
Well, red.
Yeah?
Red's my favorite color. My piano is candy apple red, baby grand.
Really?
Beautiful, killer piano. Yeah, love red. Now,
is your Lambo red?
It will be someday.
There you go. Awesome.
The ocean runs through my veins. I grew up on the water, so that's where, you know, another reason why I also fell in love with the fluid process, because it's very aquatic at times, you know, and I love the blues and the turquoise, absolutely, but red's my favorite color.
They say imitation's the greatest form of flattery. Is anyone imitating your style? Have you that you've noticed?
Well, no, not necessarily. People ask me all the time to come watch me.
Okay.
And it's
sell tickets.
It's well,
you double down on your revenue. Yeah.
So someday, I'm just not at a place right now where I want to do that. I like being by myself when I create. Like literally, it's an intense deal. Like it's kind of sacred, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so intense to me because I'm still blown away by this whole thing, right? And
it's still pretty new to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I'm in awe. When I post and say I'm in awe of this, like when Christopher Martin Gallery brought me on, I said I'm in awe and so grateful. Oh, I'm in awe, like big time. Like I can't
You're
even.
Not faking that.
No, and then it's the the pressure of, oh goodness gracious, now I have to perform. Then it goes from awe to oh shit.
I bet.
Excuse my mouth.
How do you come up with the names for your pieces?
Oh, I love that. So I'm obsessed with the Roman Empire era. Gladiator is my favorite movie. So,
is it?
Yeah. So
it's
that's
one of mine too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I have fun just researching names as far as that era and then when my more aquatic pieces, I will just Google beautiful bodies of water, beautiful rivers, things like that. I love getting help from my social media friends and family. That's fun.
Yeah, whenever you ask for recommendations like color schemes and stuff, you get a lot of traction on.
Yeah, those. I do. I really do. And this one, I didn't name this piece. A friend of mine named Coelum, and that has to do with bringing the heavenly realms to earth. And when I created that piece, the one song, my mom passed away. Oh, I don't want to cry. My mom passed away 3 years ago, and there's only one song, and it's not a mainstream Christian song. There's only one song that I remember in the whole week of being by her bedside with her when she was dying, and that song came on when I was creating this piece, and I completely lost it. It was the one time I did have my videographer there, and luckily he wasn't a distraction to me because he was in his zone, I was in mine. He's not somebody just sitting there, focusing that I felt like I had to talk to or anything like that, So anyways, I completely lost it, and that image right there is not only physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion just from the process in and of itself, but that was riding off of that song playing and hitting me while creating the piece. And I kept going, and but it was really intense.
Yeah, I bet. What's in that glass?
Champagne.
There you go. That's awesome. There's French rugby teams that used to drink champagne at halftime.
I love it.
So
that's my kind of rugby.
That's what I'm talking about too. Absolutely.
I'd like to see you drinking a glass of champagne.
No, that's not really my speed. Not really my speed. I
almost brought you something. Tell me what you drink, because I'm gonna.
I don't very often. I guess whiskey here and there,
yeah,
or just mead out of like a wooden mug, like a good Viking would. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. No, the whole process is fascinating. I don't know what it's like to have for someone to come to you and say, I want to commission this. Are there people, you mentioned one client, maybe it's the first client you mentioned, that was super particular.
Oh, yeah.
And is that just like, I want these colors?
Yeah, that again, learning to stress to them.
You can throw them under the bus. Nobody watches this. I'm just kidding.
That's funny. No, that was being very particular about colors.
Okay.
And 3 different, probably 3.
Because he wanted to go with the rest of the interior decor or something?
Sure,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it for his residence?
It was for his residence, yeah. 6 10-foot pieces in one living room. That tells you anything about
sounds like a Preston Hollow living room right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually over there by Lake Louisville.
Oh,
but
right on.
Yeah. So yeah, commissioning me, I try to make it as fun and easy as possible. One of the things I do, I love some value added, is that when I have the client send me a good picture of the space in good light,
sure,
and I can drop my work in via Photoshop, thanks to my old photography background, and they can literally see exactly what my work will look like in the space. We can play with dimensions. Now, it won't be that exact piece, of course, but it's a great selling tool.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a great selling tool.
Have young artists reached out to you?
Sure.
Yeah.
And people wanted me to
mentor them
and actually mentor like either their kids or their niece or nephew, and I do at to a certain level as far as giving them kind of a foundational game plan and just of course kind of just assessing where their head is at with it. What are they really willing to commit to it, if they really think they're going to go for this, because it's I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. I mean, I always say it doesn't matter if you're self-employed. It doesn't matter what the product is. The challenges are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the pressures. I do think it's a little different. Not that necessarily it's any harder, but it is different when we're creating, building. It's one thing to go make a sale and sell a product, that someone else is making. It's another when, we have to perform.
Yeah, when you got to go get the material,
yeah,
and bring it, and then put it all together, it's way different than selling a laptop at Best Buy.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely. But I'm getting better about also, timeline expectations, because a month of my process, timeline expectations for my client. A month of my process alone is the base being built. My carpenter's pretty quick, but it just depends on how many he's building. My base being built. My pieces take 2 weeks to dry.
Mm-hmm.
My pieces literally open up in transition I've had a piece move for 10 days.
Wow.
10 days. Literally, I had my last big, huge 10-foot piece. It opened up about almost half an inch in product, which is very unique too.
You mean that's what the relief up off the canvas was?
That's the opening and the texture.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one thing that's unique to my product in the fluid art world. Most fluid artists will pour a beautiful piece. It'll go flat. They'll, in 24 hours, dry, if that. They'll pop a high gloss epoxy or resin on top. Boom, bam. There's the wow factor. And it's beautiful. And they are beautiful pieces of art. Nothing wrong with them. But mine are completely different.
Because they have that dimension. Those dimensions.
Absolutely.
And does that take phases, different pours?
No, it's all in one.
Wow.
That's why it's a 2 to 6 hour process.
Do you have to ever add anything to the paint to get it to set up? You know what I'm saying? Like,
not to get it to set up. I'll say twice there have been some aspects of the art that I didn't like, but within 24 hours, and I made some adjustments. That's not ideal. My nobody knows the difference. I'm the only one that knows the difference, and I mean I would never ever install a piece of art that I wasn't 100% confident in and love.
Sure.
Same goes for my clients,
Right.
But I've never had that. I've had one job where the husband pushed for brown and green in the piece. He pushed for brown and green, and the wife and I were like, we're not really feeling that, but he was really adamant about it, and sure enough, it wasn't ideal. And I'm gonna redo the piece for him, but the piece is okay, it's fine. But he was like, "Yeah, I should have listened to you
Dang
guys."
It. Yeah, you kind of want to listen to the ladies when they're talking about color schemes.
This is true. Yep. Most people give me creative freedom to, to really once we come up with the base color palette. They let me roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise you may as well just go get the material and do it yourself. If you right, like they're hiring you because you put a certain flair on things.
Sure.
Right.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
If it's gonna be paint by numbers, then just go fucking paint it yourself.
Very true. Very true.
Do people beat you up on price when they call you? Are they like, hey, let's make a deal? Or are they pretty?
Not really. I've done.
You tell them you're going to send a Miami leg breaker to mess them up?
I need a Miami leg breaker.
Do you? I know a few.
So typically what I do is allow the client to pay it out before they get the art. I don't, especially now, when you're connected to a gallery, you gotta really kind of stick to
no doubt
the price.
Yeah.
But I will let them pay it out.
Or
so hammer me on price? No. I mean, I have plenty that don't realize what my price point is. And
Yeah.
no offense, we're just not a fit.
They want to pay what just the paint costs.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
See, we have this thing now too because of the cost of building materials, which I'm sure is crushing you because lumber has never been like this.
I couldn't even get any MDF recently.
Of
but
course
we did
not.
Find some.
Yeah, where someone calls us and they're like, I want a quote for this, and we're like, well, if it's not on an insurance claim, you might want to wait till 2022 because you're not going to like the price you get back from us.
Right, yeah, it's crazy.
A yard of concrete at the beginning of March was $105 a yard, and it's $370 a yard now.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow,
man.
that is
That's
insane.
Totally.
That is insane.
That's ridiculous. How often does it happen where, like that GC you're talking about with the huge pieces where people come through their house and then you're getting a call like the next day, like we saw that, we want that, or something similar?
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably happened 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
But I mean, my business is a high percentage of personal referral. Social media has been amazing. I mean, yeah, but probably that's about what, just from somebody walking in and hiring me directly,
Sure.
after probably 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's 6 years, I mean.
Yeah.
Not that I'm good with that.
Most of, like you said, personal referrals, and then you're just getting so much off of your social media efforts.
Yeah, I am. And, I'm just constantly putting myself out there, or I'm a social person. I don't really go out much anymore, but when I'm in an environment where I can connect with people, I do, and I follow up with them and I make sure, and I've done some networking groups at some level. They haven't really been big for me. I mean, honestly, gratefully, I've been able to do just a lot just on my own, just face-to-face marketing. And I mean, I can't say enough how social media has been amazing for me. I'm so grateful. Jesus, free, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So you're on Facebook and Instagram, and then are you putting videos on YouTube here and there as well?
So it just started this last year. I need to work on building my YouTube, but especially since I've hired the videographer, that's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he does a great job.
You bringing him in on every time you're putting together a creation?
I am now.
Yeah.
No, not when I create. No, installations.
Okay.
Only one time right now. I don't want to have him there every time I create.
Yeah. Yeah, it does sound like that's a very personal process.
It is. And by the way, I want to plug Daryl Ducharme. He's amazing. Daryl D Media. He's just he is so creative.
Good job, Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl D Media. Yeah, he's awesome. So he's so fun to work with. So it's kind of just,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's a fun add to the process. But yeah, no, not creating. I like to do that by myself. There's just who knows what hits me at the time. I mean, it's been such an intense 10 years of my life. There's a lot that comes out when I'm creating.
I'm sure. Is like a talent agent in your future? Do you think you'll ever go that route? How does that work in the art world?
Well, I haven't really needed one.
But you will.
An art agent?
Right, you need to thank God before it happens, because it'll happen. I don't know. Is there such thing? I don't know, man.
There's art agents.
The most I've ever paid for a piece of art was like $4,000. So I'm not gonna misrepresent myself as some sort of art aficionado. And you know why I called it a museum? Because the last art museum I was in was the Dallas Museum of Art. So I'm not totally off base.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
My art better be in a museum someday.
Yeah.
It's just not right now.
Right.
Come on, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were right on track. I mean, art agent, sure, at some point, but I have to be careful how much I try to capture right now. I can only do so much. Unless people want to wait, if they're okay with the 8-month timeline.
Right.
you know.
What is your waiting list like right now?
At least 3 months.
Yeah.
At least. You mean timeline?
Well, like I send you my deposit and my commission 3 months and it's hanging in my living room.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it done fast. You're over here stressing out about how you can't fulfill orders fast.
Well, I mean, but they are starting to back up, so who knows, what that's gonna push out to. And they have been longer than that at times, but my clients have been very, very patient. Really, the only jobs so far that there's been a real timeline pressure have been commercial projects.
I got you.
And those are 50-50 on originals, and then I do some recreations on acrylic and aluminum, but I'll never fully copy an original.
Can you think back to the first creation that you put online, like on social media, and were you like super apprehensive, or were you really proud of it? Because you said earlier in the podcast, people reach out to you all the time. Oh, if only I could get the courage to do that, or whatever. And there are a lot of musicians or artists who are just really self-conscious and they won't put their stuff out there, and so they never get discovered because no one knows that they can do what they can do, just because they're so bound up with being self-conscious or fearful.
Yeah.
Was the first one you put out there? Were you like on pins and needles, or were you like, fuck it, let's see what happens?
The first piece that I ever put out for sale,
or that you ever put out, like, look what I created? That you like put it out on your social, or you?
I was more laughing. I'm like,
yeah,
because the whole thing has just been like, okay, let's just. I wasn't nervous about that. No.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous about that. If there was any concern at all, it was more so, or self-consciousness at all. It was more so. Still hung up on what are people going to think that I'm putting myself out there as an artist, not necessarily the piece itself. And my work has changed, in 6 years. It's still been it's been fluid the whole way, as I mentioned. But again, I started on canvas, and I don't paint on canvas anymore because canvas wouldn't hold the amount of product that I use. My last 10-foot piece was 30 gallons of product.
What are you painting on then?
MDF box.
So it's okay.
Literally one box. Uh-huh.
Does the paint roll better on that than it did on the canvas? Do you notice any difference there?
Not necessarily on the flow. No, not that I could. It's been so long since I painted on canvas. I don't really remember, but I don't think so.
Okay.
No. That was more number one, cost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an 8-foot canvas would have cost me $1,200.
Yeah.
So now, my base with my carpenters. It depends on the size, less than $200, $150.
Well, they have to bring a boom lift into that general contractors to lift those up onto the wall?
They just had their super high ladders,
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How much did one of those panels weigh, you think?
Couple
100 pounds?
How many?
Couple hundred?
No, probably around 100, if that.
Okay.
Maybe. They're not as heavy as you would think. But let me tell you, they're awkward as hell.
Yeah, I bet.
And when I'm having to literally clean them up, the Olympic lift.
Yeah.
No, because I have to get under it because one of the unique parts about my work is the 4-inch sides are just as pretty as the front. That's another challenging balance of.
Because it all runs over the edge.
It all runs over the edge, but the challenge there for me is. Enough product to flow over, but not too much to where I lose the structure that I'm looking to create. And so in order, I have to lift the bases for them to move, for the product to move and to flow. So that's another aspect of it that I am 100% sure that 95% of the 48-year-old women out there would not be able to do it.
Right.
I started lifting weights when I was 13,
Yeah.
With my dad, and I have a pretty solid muscular foundation. I mean, I'm not saying I'm all lean and mean or anything, but I am strong.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you were to give advice to young artists, what advice would you give them?
Absolutely figure out who you are as an artist, what locks into your heart as far as the technique, number one. Because, when I was in photography, I was all over the place. You can't market yourself. Hey, I shoot everything.
Yeah.
I shoot race cars. I can shoot families. I can shoot babies. I can shoot buildings. But then, you're only going to get so much business.
Yeah, don't be shooting babies. That'll get you fired
You
faster
know,
than anything.
I had a cute tagline when I was shooting for some sports. Hire me to shoot your kid.
That's funny. I like that.
Have it on the back. But then, figure out who you are as an artist and stick with it. And within that process, figure out how to set yourself apart. Trust people when they tell you. Trust people that you respect when they tell you that you have talent. And take risks, keep going. And if you feel it in your heart, there's a reason you feel it in your heart, and God is going to make the way.
I love that. Same question, but for young entrepreneurs. Because isn't making it in business, a lot of that is just about hanging in there, man, and surviving sometimes. Just like living to see another day, And it can really take its toll. And if you think it's going to happen overnight, it's not.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. So, number one, I'm going to go back to my faith. Believe it before you see it. If you don't believe it, you don't trust the God of the universe that put this in your heart to help make a way, it ain't going to happen. So faith first. Align yourself. Follow through with alignments, 100%. I mean, you're never going to be able to do it all on your own. You're not an expert in everything. Yeah, you have great ideas, great work ethic, but you're just simply not going to be able to do it all. I mean, nobody's gifted at everything.
Yeah.
And especially in running a business, especially when you're creating. Follow through with alignments. Show up. Keep going. Rest when you need to rest, and get the hell out of bed, man.
Yep.
Keep going.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
People watching, they want to get in touch with you. They want to commission something.
Yeah, sure.
How can they reach out to you? Don't give your cell number, though.
Hope Harrison Artist on Facebook and Instagram. Hope Harrison on LinkedIn. I think it says artist as well. I don't think so. And then my website is hopeharrison.net. And I did bring one thing I wanted to show you.
Did you?
You talk about the 1,000 hours, right?
Yes.
Well, I have a little show and tell here.
Okay.
For the 1,000 hours.
All right.
And it ain't a piece of art.
Okay.
They are going to sell for $1 million someday. But these are my These are my legit.
That is amazing.
They weigh.
Holy Moses.
They weigh about 10 pounds each.
Wow.
And I literally worked in these for 5 years. This was not planned. I literally almost threw
That is amazing. Don't throw that away.
Threw
these
out.
need to go in when you're doing gallery. When you're doing a gallery show, you need to put these.
Yeah, they need to go in like a light box. But this is evidence of the 1,000 hours.
That's all, no doubt. You should put that clear epoxy over these just so it preserves.
I don't know.
You could
Why?
dip them. Oh, just so it doesn't break down over time.
Huh.
That's very cool.
Yeah, they got they got my little signature on the side.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. If I croak tomorrow, they'll be
there. You go.
Wait, no. If the good Lord calls me home, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
They'll go for $1 million.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Appreciate
thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So fun.
This has been a blast.
So fun.
That was great. Hope is awesome. I hope you loved her laugh as much as I did. She's got a very infectious personality. Reach out to her, man. She's got unbelievable work. Check her out on social media, her Instagram or Facebook. And hey, let me know what you think about these podcasts. I enjoy putting them together. I enjoy sitting down with people and chopping it up. But I'd love to see some comments or some feedback. Drop the comments below if you'd like. Hit me up anytime on Instagram at Jess from the Northwest, or you can email me if you'd like to work together live at autographconstruction.com.